Howdy y'all, welcome back to the Den of DBZALLSTAR. I'm DBZALLSTAR, or Steve if you prefer. Today is July 4th, 2024, and for those of you who celebrate it, that means it's the 4th of July, Independence Day here in the US. So for those interested in celebrating, or for American style themed books that reflect American culture, I wanted to put together a special video today that showcases a little bit about American culture and some that exemplify patriotism. To hold myself back a little bit and to limit the length of this video to ensure I don't talk too much, I have limited myself to 4 creator-owned or independently published titles or collected editions, as well as 2 each from the former big 2, Marvel and DC. So let's get started. These are, by the way, in no particular order from least favorite to most favorite or anything like that. These are just books that, in my mind, fit the theme of American culture or some level of patriotism for fun. So this is my opinion. First and foremost, you don't have to agree with it. This is just for fun. So first off, we have the oversized hardcover edition of the Luther Strode trilogy. This is Luther Strode, the complete series. This oversized hardcover is currently out of print. However, I wanted to present it, not to present the fear of missing out, also known as FOMO, but because it was recently re-released in a compendium-style book in paperback through Image Comics. This exemplifies an American dream for many American youth out there. Your stereotypical American youth in fiction wants to be better, faster, stronger, exemplify the American Superman to a certain extent. This is about a teenager named Luther Strode who discovers one of those fast formulas within, ironically, a magazine or comic book. Starts utilizing the workout regimen, and unfortunately, with the best of intentions come the worst of consequences. This has absolutely stellar artwork in it. It's got Tradmore artwork. If you're not familiar with his work, he is known for being very eclectic in his taste in violence. It's got great organic dialogue from Justin Jordan, who I've had the pleasure of meeting at Baltimore Comic Con multiple times. He put a lot of fun, but a lot of terror into this book. This isn't an overview, so I'm just going to showcase the actual book, talk about it a little bit, and that's what we've done for this one. If you are interested in a good, old-fashioned, young child, teenager looking to improve their life and the consequences of their actions, this is an excellent story to read. It's just 3 mini-series, and it's a complete story thus far, unless Jordan decides to continue it at some point. Comes highly recommended, published by Image Comics. Again, the OHC you see before you is out of print, but it was released recently in a trade paperback compendium edition. Next up, we have Gun Honey by Titan Comics. This is part of their Hard Case Crime imprint. It is about a woman who is a mercenary and gun runner. She finds herself involved in international espionage, so it kind of exemplifies those old spy movies from the 60s and 70s, very American taste style story, because you have a CIA agent involved and a little bit of sexual and romantic tension. Most of these titles from the Independent, by the way, they are not going to be safe for work. They are not going to be child-friendly. If at some point you're interested in me making a child-friendly video, please, by all means, tell me in the comments below. Share your opinions about any of these stories. But as you can see by this beautiful Adam Hughes cover, There was a lot of love put into the series. There is a lot of violence. There is sexual content, nudity, explicit language contained within. So again, not really suited for children, but well worth reading if you're into spy thrillers, noir. This is the first of so far 3 miniseries in the spin-off, because you have Gun Honey, you have Gun Honey Blood for Blood, you have the spin-off Heat Seeker, which involves another character that comes into Joanna, the Gun Honey's life, and you have the currently being published in single issues Gun Honey Collision Course. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of Criminal or Sleeper by Ed Brubaker, as Ed Brubaker also gives his seal of approval to these books in some of the reviews. So, from Titan Comics, so far only available in trade paperback format. Highly recommend you checking it out. So, what's American culture without a good old Western? Well, this definitely suits that topic. This is East of West by Jonathan Hickman. This is the Year 1 Deluxe Edition, oversized hardcover. This was part of the final printing, so it is out of print. Again, not trying to create FOMO. This is just what I have for my collection. The trade paperback editions, I believe there are about 10 of them, are still readily available through Image Comics, who was the publisher for this. This deals with another apocalyptic scenario in the United States and picking up the pieces afterward. You have the horsemen of death from biblical times on Earth and the other horsemen of the apocalypse chasing after him, as well as government corruption within the country after it's assembled in different pieces in the aftermath of the tragic event. There's love and romance. There's a little bit of violence in it, but it's very cartoon-esque violent due to the brilliant artwork from Nick Dracota in here. Again, these hardcovers are out of print. Hopefully, if we beg and plead with Jonathan Hickman a little bit, we can get a reprint, because I believe the final printings for volumes 1, 2, and 3 were solicited in 2020, released in 2021. So there is an opportunity these years later to beg to have them reprinted. These are beautiful oversized hardcovers, but the trade paperbacks do not diminish Dracota's artwork or the wonderful dialogue and narration from Jonathan Hickman. Just remember, it is a little bit of a high concept, because Jonathan Hickman has gone on record stating he writes the kind of comics that he would prefer to read. So just keep that in mind, and if you're interested in a good quality Western, do right and check it out. Alright, so this one might be a bit of a cheat. I don't think it is. Dynamite may license comics, but I still don't consider them necessarily a corporate entity along the lines of Marvel or DC. For those of you who are familiar with the Amazon television series or the comic itself, this is The Boys. Within the last year, instead of releasing the thin trade paperbacks or the paperback omnibus editions, thanks to the uncanny Omar of Near Mint Condition and the fandom out there, thank you so much for pushing for these. We have oversized hardcover editions. We have hardcover omnibus editions of The Boys, which, as I said, has also been released in thin trade paperbacks, in trade paperback omnibus editions, their standard size, in absolute size deluxe hardcovers, which are out of print and difficult to find. These appear to be readily available. When these were released in 2023 and started selling out, Dynamite was on it like that. They were quick to reproduce them. So what's this about, for those who don't know? This is about a government organization within the United States that monitors the activity of superhumans that have been manufactured to a certain extent, their image through a corporate entity that uses their image and their actions for profit. So you're left wondering how much of the activity that they're involved in, saving people, saving the world, is legitimate and what's just done for ratings and for profit. This is different than the Amazon television series, as Garth Ennis is known to put his personal beliefs into his work. It's a little bit political. It deals with American politics. It deals with his feelings toward the American superhero comics as well. It's got wonderful Derek Robertson artwork within it that displays the gruesome violence. This is another one of those books that has some adult, intimate content, has violence, has usage of substances. It is not safe for children, but it has a heart and core at its story, so I would still recommend it. Each of the omnibus hardcover editions collects 30 issues. Believe, yes, this was $99.99 at stores like In Stock Trades, Organic Price Books, Dying Breed Collectors, Amazon. You can find it at a discount. I would highly recommend it, though, as it exemplifies the conspiracy out there that the government is watching what goes on, and it exemplifies the idea that even if you're a Superman, you may have something hiding beneath the surface. So if you haven't checked out the Amazon series, recommend it. If you haven't checked out these comics, check it out. If you already have and you want an oversized hardcover, definitely worth the purchase. So moving on to the corporate comic books, we have Green Arrow by Mike Grell, Omnibus number 1. This really takes a look at American politics and culture from the 1980s. Currently, we're starting to veer away from 80s nostalgia into 90s, but what's funny about this story is that if you don't learn from history, you tend to repeat it. So a lot of the things we were noticing about 80s American politics are slowly starting to repeat themselves in this modern era. You've got Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, on a street level of heroics, dealing with social issues rather than, oh no, Starro's coming down to control our brains, or Brainiac has decided to steal all the knowledge of planet Earth and leave it in dust and ruin. No, he tackles the really genuine issues that we've dealt with in our society. Mike Grell handles it in a very mature and straightforward way, not shying away from what can happen in everyday life if there isn't proper support. And it really showcases the battle between the difference in life between the rich and the poor in America. It tackles it in a very sophisticated way. It's not just taking one side, it shows both sides of the story. This comes highly recommended. There are 2 omnibus editions. There are some out-of-print trade paperbacks, but for the beautiful artwork that you receive from the partners that Grell was collaborating with, it's well worth picking up the omnibus editions if you can find it. It ran for 80 issues, as well as the Longbow Hunters miniseries that kicked it off. It revolutionized the way that Green Arrow was treated in the DC universe. You've got him partnering up with very few DC heroes on a consistent basis. Outside of Black Canary, you get to see their romance rebloom. It's just an excellent story if you're looking for a superhero story, but with a dose of realism kicked into it as well. Highly recommend this DC omnibus. Alright, next up, this is an easy choice for me, because it's another story about an American youth looking to better themselves, take care of their family, and this helped revolutionize Marvel Comics. This was published originally in the 1960s, the content within. It was one of the first books of the Marvel Comics era that started in 1961 with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby publishing the Fantastic Four. This is, of course, The Amazing Spider-Man, Omnibus Volume 1 by Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, with a couple other creators involved. This is currently out of print. It will be reprinted, I know, at some point. There are 2 epic collections that have recently been reprinted. Great Power and Great Responsibility, Volumes 1 and Volume 2 of the Amazing Spider-Man Epic Collection that collect much of this content as well. This is about Peter Parker, in case you didn't know, an average, everyday 15-year-old teen who's a bit of a geek, doesn't fit in at school, lives with his aunt and uncle because his parents have perished. He's doing the best he can to garner an education. One day he visits a science presentation, is bitten by a radioactive spider, becomes Spider-Man, decides he's going to use his power irresponsibly. It results in tragedy. So he learns with that great power must also come great responsibility. You meet several villains that are iconic throughout this run, including the Green Goblin, Mysterio. You meet Electro, the Lizard, Dr. Octopus. Just highly recommend this. I know it will be reprinted at some point. Josh Greathouse, the creator of Bang, Ballad of the Tiger, is waiting for this reprint. So Marvel, David Gabriel, please get on it, reprint this as soon as possible. So I'm gonna speed this up just a little bit because of the fact that these are two American icons. I mean, come on. One character's name is Captain America. You can't get more freaking American than calling yourself Captain America. But both of these are just stellar story collections for these characters. This is actually going to be reprinted for the first time in omnibus form. This is the Captain America Epic Collection Volume 14, The Captain. It deals with Steve Rogers, Captain America, having to come to terms with the fact that the American government is not always exemplifying the example that it should, that it sometimes does not serve the will of the people, and those who serve in government know that you have to compromise. This is about how far you're willing to compromise in your life and how far you're willing to compromise for your country. At one point through this story, Steve Rogers does have to question his relationship with the government, and he's replaced in his role as Captain America. You see the consequences of that. This is by Mark Gruenwald. Very shortly, believe on the 17th of July, the Captain America book, Mark Gruenwald Omnibus Volume 1 is going to be collected. I can't wait for that to release. That will be a day one purchase for me. If you can track down either the original The Captain Omnibus, or not Omnibus, the original The Captain Thick Trade, or track down this epic collection, you really get to see two different viewpoints, the America of the old and the America of the new in the original Captain America Steve Rogers and in the replacement Captain America the American government selects and the consequences of that. So check that out. Alright, so we've talked about Captain America, who's an American icon. Superman is also an American icon, developed by Siegel and Schuster in the 30s, published by DC Comics in the late 30s. He's come a long way. Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman, the Man of Steel. He goes by many names. He's had many significant runs by John Byrne, by Peter Tomasi, as evidenced in this omnibus here, by Jeff Johns, one of DC's all-time all-stars. However, I did want to focus on the Superman omnibus by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, because it's just a classic all-American story of a family living together, learning, growing with one another. It is part of the DC Rebirth era that kicked off from the publisher in 2016, collects the entire run by these two brilliant creators. It has actually allowed my friend Seito, Luis, to love Lois Lane as a character instead of expecting her to just fade out into the ether or meet a horrendous end. As a mother and as a spouse, she develops as a character, showcasing her own strengths as well as an independent character. This deals with the fact that during the New 52 era, there were different versions of these characters. Prior to the New 52, Superman and Lois were married. they had no child. It was against the mythology for a Kryptonian to be able to reproduce with a human. Well, as a result of the 2015 event Convergence, we were introduced to Jonathan Kent, who plays a major role in this book, is showcased on the cover alongside his father. You see this family love grow with one another in a small farm town in middle America, just learning how to deal with the changes going on in each of their lives. Lois wanting to go back out into the working world now that she doesn't have to hide, with her variant from the New 52 having disappeared under mysterious circumstances. That's dealt with in another series titled Superwoman. You have to deal with the post-crisis Superman, Clark Kent, coming to terms with the fact that there was another Superman. This may or may not be his universe. Crisis events. What you gonna do, fam? And the difficulty of two parents raising their own superpowered child, what that means for John once he discovers the truth of his parents' past, of his potential destiny. It's got beautiful line work and artwork from Patrick Gleason. Peter Tomasi is one of those DC creators that really understands the importance of organic characterization. So he can take something as small as a first day of school for a child and make it a very empathetic and sympathetic situation, or something as extreme as going to an island of dinosaurs and terrors locked in time in the past, and make that feel like an everyday romp for this family. This is just a great example of how a family dealing with their own challenges can still look forward to building a brilliant future together. It is my all-time favorite Superman run. This omnibus is still available. If you decide you enjoy the content of this omnibus, there's also a spin-off series called Super Sons. The prelude story is collected in here, deals with Batman and his son Damian meeting up with Clark Kent and his son Jonathan. The Super Sons series focuses on the budding relationship and friendship between Damian Wayne and Jonathan Kent. That has 3 different omnibus editions: the original, an expanded edition, and a super duper expanded edition that collects all of the up to current content, but we're focusing on this. If you're looking for a good old-fashioned American story with some modern twists and brilliant writing, stellar artwork, wonderful coloring, check this out. So I'm cheating a little bit. I'm adding one more to this video. I mentioned Josh Greathouse earlier in this video when talking about the Amazing Spider-Man Omnibus Volume 1. There's nothing that exemplifies the old ideal of an American dream than building your own future and destiny. So to pay tribute to Josh, who is a stellar person and professional, I just wanted to once again showcase in this video Bang, Ballad of the Tiger. This is Josh's own work with his stellar editor Melanie, the wife of Near Mint Conditions Omar. This is a wonderful story with beautiful artwork. I won't delve too deep into it. I will just say this comes with a very high recommendation for me. I want to thank Josh for continuing to showcase his talent by publishing this. You can check it out on Webtoons. You can check out his Patreon. I'll put links in the description below this video. Again, it's a little bit of a cheat, but I wanted to showcase my love for his work and for a friend. Thank you for watching this video. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day if you do celebrate it. Just stay healthy, stay safe, and be well. Happy holiday.